Welcome to True White Allies, where we celebrate the forgotten history of white anti-racists so their stories can inspire you to take action today. This episode tells the story of Elizabeth Heyrick, an English woman who pushed for the immediate abolition of slavery and called for sugar to be boycotted in Britain.
During discussions on anti-racism today, especially in the workplace, you might hear people talk about how much time it will take to make progress. In the 18th century, one woman was not in favour of taking things slow when it came to abolishing slavery. That woman was Elizabeth Heyrick. According to the UK's National Archives, Portugal and Britain were the two most successful slave trading countries. Between 1640 and 1807, Britain transported 3.1 million Africans to the British colonies in the Caribbean, North and South America, and other countries. In 1807, it was illegal for any British ship or subject to participate in the slave trade. However, it still existed in the British colonies. At that time, the leaders of the anti-slavery movement mainly were men. Some of them believed in being cautious when abolishing slavery and wanted the gradual emancipation of enslaved people.
But Elizabeth Heyrick and other radical abolitionists wanted immediate abolition.
Elizabeth Heyrick was born in Leicester, in the Midlands of England in 1769. Her father was a wealthy cloth manufacturer, and her mother was a craftswoman who reviewed books and wrote poetry. Even from a young age, Elizabeth Heyrick showed an interest in social issues and cared about those not as fortunate as she was. She was a teacher and an author. One of her first books in 1805 opposed war. She was also against animal cruelty, corporal punishment, and she advocated for better wages and treatment of factory workers. In 1824, she wrote a pamphlet called Immediate, Not Gradual Abolition, or An Inquiry into the Shortest, Safest and Most Effectual Means of Getting Rid of West Indian Slavery. She argued that abolishing slavery in Britain, but not in the colonies, was hypocritical. But to invite others to be just and merciful, while we grasp in our own hands the rod of oppression, what is it but cant and hypocrisy? She also clarified that being on the fence about emancipation was not an option. You were either for liberation or against it. She argued that everyone was implicated in the slave trade. The perpetuation of slavery in our West India colonies is not an abstract question to be settled between the government and the planters. It is a question in which we are all implicated. We are all guilty of supporting and perpetuating slavery.
Elizabeth Heyrick was sick of all the talking, so she called for real action to be taken. Come to think of it, sometimes I'm sick of all the talking.
Is all this knowledge to end in exclamations, in petitions, in remonstrations? Is there nothing to be done as well as said? Are there no tests to prove our sincerity, no sacrifice to be offered in confirmation of our zeal? She called for a boycott of West Indian produce, especially sugar. She believed that if there were no longer a need for slave labour, enslaved people would be free. Her pamphlet and the call to action were influential. In Leicester, where the pamphlet was first published, a massive part of the population stopped using West Indian produce. In Nottingham, the grocers agreed to stop selling West Indian sugar till slavery stopped. And in Brighton, the inhabitants decided to support only grocers who did not sell West Indian sugar. Her work spread to the US and inspired others to support immediate abolition. But at home in Britain, some were not as supportive. William Wilberforce supported gradual abolition and wasn't a fan of Elizabeth Heyrick's stance of immediate abolition. He told the movement leaders not to speak at the women's meetings. In response, Elizabeth Heyrick threatened to withdraw the Female Anti-Slavery Society's funding. It was a bold move because they provided about a fifth of all the donations to the Central Fund. At a conference in May 1830, the Anti-Slavery Society decided to drop gradual abolition and support the Female Society's plan for immediate abolition.
Yes, Queen, love to see it. Maybe we women today can learn a couple of tricks from Elizabeth Heyrick.
Sadly, Elizabeth Heyrick died in 1831 in Leicester. She didn't get to see the Abolition of Slavery Act of 1833 pass, which gave all enslaved people in the British Empire their freedom. Complete emancipation was achieved in 1838, and slave owners were compensated. Yet none of the enslaved people received any compensation. Racism still exists today, and if you're not aware and against it, you might be participating in it. So what can white people who want to be allies learn from Elizabeth Heyrick? We often don't realise the impact of our actions and how it contributes to inequality. Progress can take time, but don't use it as an excuse not to take action. If progress is taking time, make sure it's not because of your actions. Elizabeth Heyrick understood this, and that's why she did not believe in gradual abolition. So the next time someone tells you how much time it's going to take to dismantle racism, say to them, I understand that. What can we do right now to move things forward?
It is better to make a mistake, learn from it, and do better the next time, instead of doing nothing.
Hi, I'm Naomi Bowman, and if you enjoyed watching this video, please like and share it with 2 white people you think would benefit from watching it.